Hello gamers. So I thought this would be pretty fun to do. I saw some people doing this on Twitter. I kind of wanted to make this like a more short form video, but I feel like it's going to be too long. So I'm just making a normal video. So this is on grid.fun about me, Genshin Impact. I can put the link in the description, but I found it really easily just Googling it. Yeah, you can see it's just like one of those games where you put, your favorite character, shared MBTI, who you'd get along with. So I think it'd be fun to just contemplate about this, think about this. So let's start with my favorite character. I mean, my favorite character right now is probably Inefa. So I just really I think she's funny and her sort of, her humor module, and the voice actor, the English voice actor at least, is very good. I haven't heard other languages yet, but I think the English voice actor is very good, and I think the character is just really funny. I like that sort of dry humor and like very dry delivery. Yeah, Nefa. Who I started for, I don't really know what this means. I'm guessing it's just assuming you started playing Genshin because of a specific character, which isn't really what happened with me. I just started playing it because I thought the game as a whole looked interesting. I had never played a gacha game before, so I didn't know, characters were sort of limited time, and I didn't really start for anyone. But once I started playing the game, the character I was immediately interested in was Kazuha. He was like one of the first characters where I just really wanted him. I thought he was super cool, his crowd control was convenient, buffing capabilities were nice, and I like his design. My most used character of all time, this is really hard to think about because there have been different eras for different characters. For me, it might be Yelan, because Yelan I used to carry me at the beginning of the game, just through like her single target damage. And then after that, Yelan moved to Hyper Bloom teams, and so I used her there. And then after Hyper Bloom teams, I moved her to like Vape teams and like Farina teams with like Mono Hydro. And then after that, I moved her to Skirk teams. So it could be Yelan, but it also could very easily be Bennett. I have teams where I used Bennett with Yelan, and then I have teams where I used Yelan without Bennett. I have teams where I used Bennett without Yelan. So it's really hard to know. And these days, outside of Skirk teams, I'm not using Yelan like at all. It's essentially just using Bennett for Arlecchino. I'm gonna say Bennett, but I could very easily see it being Yelan too. I don't actually know though, it's just kind of a guess. My preferred DPS, probably Veressa. Veressa's really fun to play. If I'm being honest, I feel like a lot of DPSs are kind of boring because it's just mostly normal attack spam. And I think Veressa is just more fun to play than all those. But let me just, Clarand is actually really fun to play too. I really think it's just Veressa for now. She's just really fun to play. My preferred support, I mean, if we're talking about my favorite supports in the game, well, I like Bennett, but the problem with Bennett is I feel like there's a lot of enemies that do hydro or cryo damage, and you end up getting melted a lot. Because when you stand in Bennett's burst, you apply pyro to yourself. And then so you'll get melted, you'll get vaped, you'll start to get like burning. Xingqiu is a good consideration too. He makes every team way more comfortable to play because of interruption resistance and damage reduction. Great hydro application. Xingqiu is definitely up there. He sometimes has a similar issue to Bennett, where I think if you use his skill, it applies hydro to yourself, which means you can get frozen, and that's kind of annoying sometimes. Oh wow, they even have like weekly bosses in here. I'm thinking about putting Chevreuse because as much as, you'd think she's locked to Pyro Electro teams, which she kind of is if you care about getting her full value. If you have her C6, it's still like 60 damage percent to either Pyro or Electro, and 40% attack to the whole team. Both of those are unconditional to her teams. Like, she just gives that. As long as overload happens in the team, you can still do that, but you will lose out on her res shred, which is unfortunate. But like, if you have it from somewhere else, Galonin or someone has VV, then you're losing value, but you can still use her outside of purely overload. would most people consider Yolana support? I mean, she has supportive capabilities, but she's mostly like a sub DPS, I feel. I'm just gonna put Shivers. I don't want to spend too long on this. Even though she does have team restrictions, it's not nearly as bad as people think. Like, she's not completely useless outside of overload teams. She's still at C6 at least. Yeah, I think Shivers is pretty fun, but probably also contested by Bennett and Xingqiu. But also, I don't really want to like do repeats. I think repeats is boring. So if anyone is like a repeat, I'll just do the next best probably. Favorite Archon? Okay, something I'd like to say is this is mostly going to be a perspective from like gameplay, because I have a very shallow understanding of the story of this game. Like, I understand like a lot, and I know what happens in every region and stuff like that, but my knowledge of the lore is very basic. So I'm gonna try and lean more towards gameplay wise versus, you know, who's the best written Archon. Like, that is a lot harder for me to answer, and I don't really have the knowledge to answer that, so I would rather just talk about gameplay. So my favorite Archon gameplay wise, I only have 3 Archons. I only have Nahida, Raiden, and Farina, if you want to count Farina. It's definitely not Raiden. I've said this before in my who do I regret pulling tier list. I don't like how Raiden feels to play, and I really struggle to find uses for her outside of hypermove teams. Nahida I use pretty often these days. I originally wasn't using her in my Nefer teams, but then I realized how much energy she generates, and I was like, and this happened within the last month, I started using Nahida more, and I was like, you know what, Nahida is actually pretty nice in these teams, even though she doesn't give the best buffs relative to Sucrose in Nefer teams. She's still really nice, but outside of that, it's not like I like playing Nahida. Farina, I think I have to do Farina, just because I only have 3 Archons, and I like playing her the most out of them. And it's not like I hate Farina or anything. Like, I actually really like her as a character as well, at least from, you know, from my understanding. I thought her story was really tragic. And also her voice acting is insanely good. Like, the English voice actor, I think it's Amber Lee Connors, she did amazing, and it's such an iconic voice. I was playing a different game. I was playing Borderlands 4, and there was just some random NPC voiced by Amber Lee Connors, and it was so funny because I was like, oh my god, is that Farina in Borderlands? It was so funny. My favorite design, so they probably mean visual design, not like kit design, and I think I'll just do that because someone comes to mind immediately, which is Zabai. I think I said this in another video as well, but I just really like Zabai's design. I thought the second she got drip marketed, I was saying into a Discord to some of my friends, just it was one of the coolest looking characters, and I really loved her design, so I will say Zabai. Character I warmed up to. So there's not many characters in this game that I hated or didn't like and then grew to like, but there is a character where I had a really bad first impression of them, but then after doing a few quests and seeing how they were, I didn't really mind them as much anymore, and that character is Mika. When Mika first came out and I heard his voice, I was like, oh my god, this is the most annoying character in the entire game. And then once, you know, I started playing in quests with him and seeing his role in the game and how he's portrayed in the game, I didn't mind him at all anymore. So now I don't really care. Shared birthday month. So I know for a fact that I share the same birthday with Yaimiko. So I'm just gonna put Yaimiko. But I'm actually really curious, who else is born in June in this game? I actually have no idea. I'm gonna check. Here, I pulled up the wiki. Let's see. So these are all the June birthdays. So Ito and Paimon apparently are June 1st. Escoffier is June 8th. Lisa's June 9th. Venti, Yoimiya, Sino, Raiden, and Yai. So yeah, Yai shares the exact same birthday as me. So I'm just gonna keep Yai, but that's cool. I didn't know Escoffier and Paimon and Ito Shared MBTI. So I've looked this up before, and I think the Traveler came up, but I'm gonna try and see if there's some other characters. Here, I'm on personality database, and I've taken personality tests like a few times. It feels like different answers show up, but the same two answers that always show up are ISTP and INTP, so I'm gonna go with ISTP for now. So Chaska, Traveler, Kanich, Shilonin, Claran, Sino, Zarya, Lynette, Aloy. It looks like Traveler has the most votes, I guess. I don't really know how that works, but we can try INTP as well, although I feel like I'm not associated with this one. This is just the one that comes up a decent amount. Kokumi, Emily, Ducros, and Albedo. But I think we're just gonna put the Traveler for now, because I think that's kind of funny. It has the most votes, which I don't really know what that means, but I'm just gonna do that. Who I find relatable? That's a hard one, because I mean, it's kind of hard to relate to some characters who are dealing with things only that happens in a fantasy game, right? Like something like Farina, it's pretty hard to relate to Farina because her story is almost too tragic for anyone to ever in real life experience, so it's kind of almost completely unrelatable. I'm just gonna put someone who I feel like is kind of similar to me. I think they showed up on the personality database too, but I think I'm pretty like similar to Lynette in a lot of ways, at least in real life. Who I would get along with? I think as an introverted person myself, I see like both sides where I also like hanging out with other introverts, because I think most introverts can agree with me that it's not that we don't like talking to people, it's that we just don't like talking about what we don't want to talk about. So for me specifically, this is stuff like small talk. So when people just come up to me and they're like, oh, what are you doing these days? You know, how's the weather? Like, kind of just saying stuff. I don't like talking about this. Like, I like talking about a little bit more, something that is a more like specific topic. And someone starts talking to me about games, which is something I'm really interested in, I could talk for hours about it, right? So it's not that I don't like talking, it's just I just don't like talking about things I don't want to talk about. So it's also nice to hang out with more extroverted people, because I feel like they're very good at just sort of filling the silence and making things a little bit less awkward sometimes. And you can still talk to a lot of extroverted people about everything. So I'm not really sure. I feel like someone who I liked a lot, just based off of first impressions, was Gaming. So I think I'm just gonna put Gaming. But, you know, I could probably get along with a lot of people in this game, I would say. My latest character? I mean, I guess it's just Linnea. Well, technically, the last character I got was Illua, but last 5-star that I was actually going for was Linnea, so I'm just gonna put Linnea. Character I'm looking forward to, I mean, there's a bunch, right? Obviously, I'm looking forward to the Tsaritsa. I'm looking forward to Dainsliff. Even though I kind of just say it as a joke, I would say, like, if Dainsliff was ever released, I would break my free-to-play status to C6 him. I say it as a joke, but I think at this point I will actually commit to it if he does release. So yeah, maybe Dainsliff, but I don't know. It's either the Tsaritsa, Sandrone, or Dainsliff, and I think the most relevant right now is probably Sandrone. Okay, she is actually here. I was wondering if she was here or not. I just think Sandrone is so funny. She's so bratty. She's so sassy. Her VA is fantastic. I just hope she's fun to play when they, you know, release her. And my least favorite character. This is like my least favorite character. I mean, it's not like I have a strong dislike for any character. Okay, I think for least favorite character, I'm gonna go with strictly how it feels to play them. Okay, so this has nothing to do with the actual character itself. Just the character doesn't feel that great to play. And I think I have to put Raiden. There's just something about Raiden and playing Raiden that feels really off to me. I don't know why. It just feels weird to play Raiden. There's some other factors to it too. Raiden is a very hyped character, or, you know, was a very hyped character. You know, so many people would say, oh my god, Raiden C2 is like the best character in the game and stuff. And a lot of people really like playing Raiden. So I kind of pulled her with very high expectations. And then, so when I finally got my hands on her and I just didn't really like her, it sort of exacerbated the effect of me not liking her. You know, in reality, I probably just wouldn't have liked her, you know, just a little bit, but because of all the expectations and stuff behind it, it made me not like her just more. So, but that's purely off of gameplay. In terms of, you know, how a character is written or their personality, that has nothing to do with that specific pick. So, but yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with this list, and there's no repeats, and yeah, I think it looks pretty good. So I'm gonna put this link in the description if you guys want to do it yourself. It was pretty fun to do it, but yeah, I will see you guys around. Bye bye.